Hi, I'm Hamish McAlpine, Principal Consultant here at Auxentia with this month's HE Monthly Roundup. This month I'd like to pick up on what we started discussing last month around the return of conferences, and in particular some key reflections on two major conferences that we attended as sponsors. So it's great, as predicted last time, to get back face to face. Really exciting to meet lots of old friends, meet lots of new people, and have some really great in-depth discussions about what's happening in the sector. In particular, a couple of things really stood out for me. The first is, again, something we mentioned briefly last month: the rise of commercialisation for the social sciences and arts and humanities, sometimes referred to as SHAPE commercialisation. Again, we saw really strong interest from people at those conferences around that topic, and really strong interest in our new ATTP accredited SHAPE commercialisation course, which we've just launched. The other thing that struck me, and this was true both at PraxisAuril here in the UK and the UIIN conference held in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, is the real growing recognition of the role that universities play in their regional innovation ecosystems, and in playing that role, start to tackle some of the regional inequalities we see. So in the UK we talk about levelling up, but it's really clear that other countries face similar challenges around regional disparities, and I think there's a growing focus on the role that university innovation ecosystems can have, not just in driving economic growth in particular areas in a country, but really having those benefits felt by everyone. This idea of inclusive regional growth, where everyone benefits from the role of the university in a strong innovation ecosystem. So the second thing that came across in both of the conferences we attended was the growing recognition of the role of students in knowledge exchange. So moving beyond perhaps this traditional idea that student enterprise and entrepreneurship was more about their employability as students, to recognising students as delivery agents, if you like, for knowledge exchange more generally. And that raises some interesting questions about how universities are structured to help support and maximise the impact of student-led knowledge exchange. Perhaps traditionally, teaching and research have been seen as two fairly separate activities, and it's clear in talking about student KE that crosses that spans that boundary of research and teaching, which raises interesting questions about, as I say, the structure and the support offered to students, and how the knowledge exchange offering of a university can encompass both students and academics, and indeed professional services staff. So the third thing, and it's a perpetually hot topic, there's nothing new about this topic, but I think it's still one that hasn't been fully bottomed out, is how do you really measure and communicate the impact of commercialisation on the wider economy and society? And this continues to be a really strong debate. Often this is around things like technical questions, like what equity stakes universities take in spin-out companies. But when you start looking into this, there still, after all this time, seems to be a real lack of really good in-depth data about what works, what doesn't in terms of commercialisation practice, things like equity stakes, and how different countries compare in their performance. And one really interesting thing that's come out very recently is a Autumn report. Autumn is the Association of University Technology Managers in the US. And that report looked at the last 25 years of commercialisation in the United States, showing that in that time it contributed over 1 trillion to GDP and supported in some way nearly 6.5 million jobs. So there's no doubt about the power of commercialisation and the benefits it brings, both economically and for broader society, through the discoveries which are being commercialised. But I think there's a real need for more people to do more on how we measure that and how we communicate that to not just policymakers but the wider public. So that's my reflections on some of the key takeaways from this year's key knowledge exchange conferences. Auxentia provide a wide range of services to higher education and government clients which cover some of these areas. If you'd like to find out more, then please feel free to get in touch via our website or through our social channels.